Hello and welcome back to the McGuffin Takes. We're here today to talk about, as promised, Adolescence, the Netflix series about a young, troubled boy and the trials that follow.
You just put a spoiler right in there, right in the beginning. Great stuff. Even without a disclaimer. But yeah, I would say definitely spoilers ahead.
Yes, so yeah, this is going to be a spoiler-loaded discussion. I mean, if you haven't seen the series yet, go
Watch
watch
it
it.
now.
Watch it now. We highly recommend it. But I guess most of you listening to this have seen it because it's one of the top shows on Netflix, at least the list they published or the numbers they published, it was one of their top shows in the UK, and I don't know if in other places, but yeah, we never know with
Sure, I think
these Netflix numbers.
everybody's
How
talking about it, and everybody and their mother has already seen the show. Although I know a few people that haven't seen it yet, so I
that's true,
guess
actually.
we're early enough in the game to to expect people to maybe not have seen it yet.
Well, no, my mother has seen it, so it's, yeah. When did it actually come out? 13th of March. So this is a couple weeks later. And I think Ala, you first mentioned it to me. How did you come about it?
Oh, well, very mundane. I just saw it in the list of the Netflix shows. No, I mean, I definitely had it suggested by Netflix before, and I already put it in my wait list for to be notified when it came out. And I'm not sure if I already knew that. I think I didn't know. I definitely saw Stephen Graham in the trailer, but I didn't know back then that it was going to be the show by the Boiling Point team. So I didn't expect it to be the one-shot show, which is of course something I like. I really love though. Like I'm a fan of one-shot movies and movies that are made to look like one shot. Um,
Can
yeah,
you explain why?
I don't know. I'm a sucker for it. I can explain. I just love it. I think it's great. Although, of course, there are some people that are saying that it's being overused now, and it's kind of not always serving the purpose. I think the main idea of using one shot is because you want it to feel like you are going through something live with the characters. But also, I think what makes it great for me is the fact that I generally like the theatrical elements in film. I'm not like a huge fan of theater, but I love theatrics in film, which is kind of strange. And I think that generally, if you look, for example, at Boiling Point or at Adolescence, then you it is made like a theater piece, right? Because you have to coordinate so much and everything is happening live in front of you. Of course, there are several takes that were involved, but still, you have to act it all out as theater. So that's kind of, I think, what makes it great for me as well.
Teaching about the process, how they went about making this series. I mean, it sounds similar to a theater play as well. I think they had um a week of rehearsal, so they rehearsed the scenes or the shoot with the actors, and then they had one run where they sort of choreographed the camera movement, where they were figuring out, okay, how the camera has to move through the space, how they have to hand over the camera, and yeah, so it sounds similar to a theater play from a production standpoint as well. And yeah, you mentioned that it's the same team as the movie Boiling Point. Is it actually
The
also
movie
the same?
and the series, because there's two.
Right. I have only seen the movie. You've seen both,
We've seen
but
both.
is it what I wanted to ask, is it the same director as well and the same cinematographer?
I think so, because I think it's the whole team is the same.
Well, and this is actually something I mentioned to you when you recommended the series to me after I've seen it. I didn't know who was involved. I mean, I knew Stephen Graham, but immediately I told you, oh, okay, is this the same team from the Boiling Point movie and series? Because I mean, it's just seamless how they do it, and I don't know if many teams can do this sort of series and are able to do a series in a one shot.
Mhm.
So the amount of planning it requires, and
I think it's also I think something definitely to consider is the fact that it's a British show, or Boiling Point, a British film, and I feel like generally speaking, the Brits are more um based in theater. A lot of the people that we know from films are also theater actors, and so of course, when we're talking about cinematography, it's not, you can't really, well, talk about it in that framework, but still, um, from at least the actor's perspective, it is something that they're probably more used to do than a lot of American actors that only play in film, that are only film actors.
yeah, that's a good point. Probably that's. I mean, the Brits love their theater plays.
Yeah. Well, and
Question
also, I
the
mean, technically speaking, it's always it's a different thing to play in a film and to play in a theater piece, because even if you just think about the amount of text you have to learn, that's a skill, right? That's a skill that you may not necessarily need to have if you play in film, because you can always go back to the dialogue, you can always read up on it before you shoot the scene.
the All Quiet on the Western Front, is that also made by British producers and directors?
Why are you talking about 1917 maybe?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's the title of the movie. Sorry,
No,
So,
it's not. It's a Sam Mendes film, but it's also not one shot.
just made to look like one.
Yes,
But I'm sure the shots are longer than your average
probably.
movie shot, right?
it's one of the recent examples of sort of one-shot films. I mean, Boiling Point is probably not that well known to some people. Other recent examples are Birdman, which is not one shot, but it has many long scenes.
Sorry.
What else did we? Yeah. What was the other?
The thing is that a lot of kind of people or channels or Instagram, yeah,
Mhm.
Instagram groups, I don't know how to call that stuff, but basically released exactly those types of lists where people are like, yeah, those are the one-shot films. And then another one, a very famous one, is Russian Ark, of course, that was um one shot, 96 minutes,
I
all
mean,
shot in the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg.
yeah, could you just please summarize what it is about?
Russian Ark.
Yeah.
Russian Ark is I mean, it's not really about anything in particular. It's just like a walk through time. So they go. There is kind of a character that leads you through the different rooms of the Hermitage Museum, or the Hermitage. Um, what do you call that? Palace?
Gallery.
A palace. It's a palace, like it's a winter palace, right? So they walk through the Winter Palace, through different rooms, and through different eras, or through different, um, well, not maybe eras so much, but like different decades of Russian history, and maybe a little bit into the history of the monarchy in Russia. So like all kinds of a little bit things that are tied to history a little bit. And of course, that involves a lot of costumes, and that involves a lot of different characters as well, um, from different decades. So the costumes change, and then by the end of it, there's like a scene that involves a huge amount of people, and they're all dressed in different costumes of different eras. So, or different, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the eras is the right word because it didn't really exist for that long. I mean, Winter Palace, I don't even know when it was built, but it probably covers about 200 years of history. Um, yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah, I guess in that regard, a bit similar to Adolescence, because Adolescence is also, well, they go through different periods of time over the 4 episodes.
Yeah,
So
and they go through 13 months actually. So the whole story from the beginning till the end is 13 months, and that's actually interesting to know before you watch it, or before you finish it at least, because when we were watching the last episode, I was kind of wondering, so how much time passed? Maybe they said that because I think in the beginning of the third episode they say how many months passed, but I'm not sure if that was also the case in the last one.
yeah, and
Maybe
the
I'm just
last one,
blind.
the title card says it's 13 months, and I
Okay.
believe in this, sorry, the fourth one and the third one, I think there's a title card as well.
7 months, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, quickly, I also wanted to mention another one shot. I don't know if it's one shot, but similar is I don't know if it's season 3 of The Bear or season 2, where there's also an episode which is almost yeah, one shot, which is phenomenal
Yeah,
and
I
in
mean,
one place.
generally, I think some of the episode, it's not only one episode in The Bear that is like that, or am I wrong?
I think in particular you mean the one with the Christmas dinner
Oh
party?
no, that's not one shot, I think.
No?
No.
Okay.
Oh, the one which is all, well, it's not one shot, but the in The Bear, it's when the birth scene, or where the baby comes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if it's one shot
I'm
with
not
the entire
sure.
episode, but there's a very long scene between
Yeah.
the mom and her daughter, which is really nice.
I think there
Yeah.
was definitely one kitchen scene that was one shot.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if that's the only one that they have there. I feel like maybe there have been more. This is definitely a very cool episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like we're absolutely forgetting a lot of series that also took this concept of not maybe doing the whole episode one shot, but having very long takes. I also saw one of these content creators who gave a list of um, movies that are well known for having a one shot, and I think one of the first one was The Rope by Alfred Hitchcock, which
Oh yeah.
wasn't completely one shot, but gave this illusion of being shot in one take.
Yeah, there are cuts there. Speaking of which, Dario, the studio apparently has one 25-minute one take episode.
Right, you mentioned that,
We're
right?
yet to see it, I think.
Well, you just mentioned casually that it's made to look like one shot, but again, also there's clear you can see when they, I mean, or
The
notice when they
first
had a
one,
cut.
yeah. The first one, I think, is one of those. I'm not sure if they mean that one, or if there's an actual one that is one shot and is not edited at all.
That is not fake one shot.
Yeah.
I feel like it has been more popular with the one shot technique in recent years. I have some visual image in my head. I don't know from which movie, but it's one thing that they do to give the illusion of one shot is that that the camera goes behind the back of a person, or pans through a wall or something, and that's where they insert the cut
Yeah.
sometimes. But I don't know if you had the chance to. I sent you a video about the work of the editor of Adolescence, and yeah, basically he didn't have to do anything, so because it's actually one shot.
Why do they even need an editor?
No, it was just a satire about a parody about the editor. I guess they do have an editor for the title cards. And that's maybe
there's for sure some editing involved in this. Like, I'm sure that if you have a one-shot film, you still have to edit it in some way. I don't know, actually.
Yeah. Well, I was actually thinking, I don't know if there is much sound editing. Maybe they add some sounds, like background noises, but probably not a lot as well. Okay, shall we get into Adolescence?
Yes,
I
let's
think
go.
we were saying that we are going to go through it chronologically. So yeah, let's start with episode 1. And I think Dario, you mentioned before off camera, before the recording, that it's probably your favorite episode, and I think it's probably my favorite episode as well.
Nice that we agree. I mean, yeah, as the basic guy here that doesn't have a lot of movie and series understanding and of the business, for me it was the most interesting one to watch because there was most action involved in it, and there's a lot of things unclear. What happened? Yeah, I mean, so we're not spoil, or I mean,
We
we
are
are spoiling.
spoiling.
So
We
it doesn't
are.
matter what I say now, right?
No.
So whether or not you know, in that case or in that episode, you still don't know, did he do it or not? You're probably pretty much still thinking he didn't. And so, yeah, it's just there's the most amount of tension still there, which is why I enjoyed it the most. And then it's just gradually decreases along the series. And I mean, there's other episodes, for example, the one in school. I didn't really particularly enjoy that one so much. Probably somebody else will say, wow, that was my favorite episode, but we'll see. So yeah, definitely episode 1.
But I would also say, just so I have my perspective out there, is I waited probably till the very last episode to be like, oh, he actually did it. Because I was hooked, and I was really bought by this little innocent face. And I thought this boy could not have done anything bad. I really didn't believe it till the very end.
To me, to be honest, it's mind blowing though that he just kind of kept denying he did it. Like, you know, after all a 13 or 14-year-old boy. They're usually not that good in like, you know, keeping a lie alive somehow. But this guy, yeah, just I mean, he sold it well. Like, I really believed like, okay, something must be wrong here. Which makes it even more clear that he's some kind of psycho, right? I guess.
Oh my God, you are going to a dangerous territory. I don't think you can say those things.
Oh, why not?
He is not a psycho. He is just a normal little boy. That's the whole point of the series. That's very interesting of you
Is
to
he a
say
normal
that.
little boy if
Oh
he
yeah.
stabs a girl to death, doesn't admit it?
This is what we're here to talk about, I think.
Okay, yeah. For me, the case is pretty clear, but you can
For you, everybody is a psycho. I know that.
sell me that he's not. I'm all ears. But yeah.
2 points. I mean, the first one is that, yeah, I think the casting is great. Owen Cooper plays Jamie Miller, this boy, and he has this very innocent looking face. But on the other hand, we'll talk about it in a couple minutes. In the third episode, you get to see a completely different side from him. Yeah, so he is, I mean, yeah, he's awesome. He really sells both sides, yeah. And I think I read that he was cast out of I don't know 500 young people who auditioned for the role, and there is I think a clip from his audition tape where he did the I think he had to do two scenes. The one is from episode 3, where he sort of gets angry and throws away this glass of the sandwich, or I don't remember what it was. No, I think the chocolate milk.
Cup, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other I think was from episode 1 in the interrogation room. Yeah, that's one thing, and the second aspect is that it's you were saying that you were at the end of the first episode, you were still thinking, oh, did he do it or didn't he do it? I saw a couple of interviews with Stephen Graham, and the way they were thinking about it, about the show, is that it's actually not a who done it, but a why, why done it. And I think the question is very relevant or clear from the start, like from the first episode.
Well, the thing is, I think that was also the point of choosing a boy that has this kind of innocent appearance, right? Because the creators did want you to keep, well, kind of to think that, oh, he couldn't have done that. Look at this boy. So I think that is definitely a success. I mean, it's kind of, I wanted to believe it. It's not like there was not enough to stop believing that, but I still wanted to keep believing this. And plus, I feel like we were talking about it a little bit before, whether it has something to do with the female versus male perspective, because I mean, despite everything, wanted to believe that maybe he was just something happened and he didn't actually do it, and that was all like fake and whatever.
It's really female versus male perspective, but it's such a shocking crime at such a young age that you think, oh, that there's no how do they
Oh
come
yeah.
back from this?
Believe me,
So
I watch enough true crime to know that stuff happens and stuff like that happens too. So it's not like I cannot believe a small child can, or like a young teenager can commit such a crime. This is not.
no, I mean it does happen, but what I mean is it's so shocking and so not normal, I guess, if I can describe it somehow, that it's more can they come back somehow from this situation, or is there hope for them? I mean, at least for me, that's more of the question, why I also was hoping that, okay, maybe we get some resolution from them. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk a bit more about the first episode, and I agree the first episode is action packed and has a lot of tension, especially at the beginning. And I really like that. I think the first scene, we can't really say scene, but I guess we can, is when they are parked in the police car and we get to know these two characters. They're called Luc Bascombe and Misha Frank, the two detectives, and they're just casually chatting about their daily lives. I think about his son and and about I think it's his farts as well, because he was eating so many apples.
I think it was a
yeah,
burp.
or a burp, I don't know. Yeah, but it's a very chilled scene and very inconspicuous scene. And so the camera is, I think, outside. Is it inside or outside the car?
It's
I'm not
outside
sure.
the car.
Yeah, but we get to see them from the side, and it's pretty much close to their faces, so we don't see too much about their surroundings. And I think that's a great choice, because as soon as they get the signal from the radio, the camera starts pulling out until we get to see the house of the Miller family, and then all hell breaks loose, basically.
Yeah. Well, also, I think just to begin with, it's important to mention that Jamie, who is the main kind of the character that the whole story revolves around, only appears in episode number 1 and episode number 3. And so the first episode also shows his interactions with his family, because like every episode shows you something else, a different kind of environment that this kid was in, right? And the first one is his interactions with the family, his interactions with his dad primarily. And yeah, I think that's definitely something to keep in mind, because that's only one episode that shows us that. And we are kind of put also in the perspective of his parents, where we see him as this little boy who is accused of murder. And all we see is that, of course, he is now traumatized. He is in this horrible situation, and we can only sympathize with him. So we go through the same process as his parents are, I guess.
Yeah, this belief in the first episode, and I mean, just when they pull up to the house, I mean, I think that's where the one shot works so great, because as an audience, and like you said, the family, the parents, we don't know what's going on, and I mean, it's quite extreme to have the police enter your house in that way. I mean, there's no real violence, but it is like, well, they're basically breaking down the door and telling them to get on the floor. So yeah, it's very, very shocking. And I think the one take there really adds to the tension and the yeah, what's happening.
Mhm. But also, I think it was kind of an overkill, this whole swatting the house for a
Well, if you think,
13-year-old.
but then again, if you think about what he did, if it was a grown-up that did it,
Allegedly.
but yeah, I mean, the police was pretty sure he did it, right? Which becomes evident throughout the series.
Yeah, also the lawyer kind of says that, is it uh God, what's the word? What is this word when something is aligned, or like, yeah, I guess like if this reaction aligns with the type of crime, or with the evidence that they have, or I don't know, the alliance.
Eine angemessene Antwort in German.
Exactly, but that's what I'm trying to look for. But yeah, I don't know. You got it.
But I definitely think, yeah, if you think about what's happened the night before, probably, yeah, makes sense to do it like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they have protocols that they have to follow, depending on the type of crime and stuff. And if you have something like that, then it's probably raid the house with a SWAT team, because the guy could be dangerous. It doesn't matter how old the person
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I would agree that it's an overreaction by the police, that they come in very forcefully, and they didn't need to break down the door. They could have just knocked, and that's why Eddie Miller also gets very upset. They also start going through the stuff in the house. So yeah, I guess they're probably allowed to do it, but it's maybe not necessary. The parents are cooperative, and then yeah. I mean, I agree that maybe if it's a killer, they need to be careful and they really want to get him. But yeah, so that adds to the tension, that adds to like these feelings that we as an audience member get, which mimic the ones from the parents.
Yeah. What still also disturbed me looking back at the first episode when you finish the series is, again, the guy's a psycho. He's just sleeping there peacefully. Like nothing happened, like Friede, Freude, Eierkuchen, how you say in German. But he just killed this girl violently a few hours before, and he's just chill guy there. That's kind of disturbing to
I
me.
mean, we are not qualified to diagnose him as a psychopath or
I'm
whatever.
not diagnosing anyone. I'm just stating my
Saying,
thoughts.
you use the word psychopath very loosely.
I mean, tell me what you want, but if that person doesn't qualify as one, I don't even know.
I mean,
Yeah,
to be honest, it doesn't seem, at least from the episode 3, it doesn't seem like he would. But, and also generally speaking, I don't think he would be in this situation, in the situation where he, well, in the context of incels, let's say, if that's already the context of the series, that he would even be there if he was a psychopath, because that's, I would say, rather unlikely.
This first, the police raid very intense is because at this point we still don't know what exactly happened, something tragic. And yeah, that also is where it's interesting because it's the police are very I don't know, direct or very harsh, if you will, but they still are not. I mean, this is not police brutality, but it's they have a commanding presence, and yeah, it's disturbing, like Dario said.
One thing that I noticed on a rewatch, when Jamie gets to the station and they are processing him at the very beginning, he is obviously very distressed and he is standing there being very distracted by the whole situation, cannot answer the questions. And while he is standing there, I don't know if that's a deliberate thing that was done, but the whole time while he's standing there being distracted by the people that walk past him, all those people are women. And that I found quite interesting because obviously in the context of the crime and in the context of what the show is going to talk about further, it might be a bit of a clue, it might be a little bit of a additional context, I guess.
We can talk about now about the scene where he is in where he gets to the precinct. What I also wanted to mention is that Luke Bascom, one of the officers, is very affirming in his presence and very clear about what's happening. And I think before they take Jamie away, he also mentions to Eddie Miller that he can be his, or he can go to the station to be his solicitor, is the word?
Appropriate adult.
Or appropriate, sorry, not solicitor, yeah, appropriate adult. But yeah, I think then the police take Jamie into the car. Well, I guess first they tell him to get dressed, and then they take him, and I think then the camera is actually in the police van with Jamie and another police officer. But what was his role again? Do you remember?
You mean in the car with Jamie?
Yes.
He's not a police person. He is social services.
Okay, that's right. Yes. And that scene in the car is great because we also get to really get to know how nervous Jamie is, or how distraught, or she also doesn't know what's happening, and that continues when he gets to the police station. I think the police station is actually a set. It's not a real police station, which I was a bit surprised by, but I guess it makes sense because they had to figure out how to move the camera through that station. But yeah, it was funny because they are actually driving somewhere, but I guess it is still a set that they're driving to. And but yeah, that police station looks so real and lived in and like an actual place.
I was actually, while I was rewatching, I was kind of asking myself, how did they time all that? Did they have to like stick to a very specific timeline? Because some scenes, if you shoot them several times, they may take a little bit longer, even if it's just a few seconds. So was there a very strict timeline they had to stick to, or did they have a little bit of wiggle room? And also, while we're at it, I kind of thought that some of the interactions between the detectives specifically seemed a little bit rushed to me in the first episode, because um, the scene in the car when they're talking about the apples, the scene in the office when they are talking about how the process went, it seemed like it was a little bit rushed, it was a little bit fast, and almost like you wouldn't normally have time to process the information that somebody's telling you and give the answer so fast. But then again, maybe because it might have been deliberate because they are partners and they are kind of working together and they are detectives and they kind of have to think fast. So maybe that was also a way to show it. So, but yeah, that's definitely something I noticed while watching.
Yeah, for me, it shows their expertise, and that's their daily job. They do this on a daily basis. So, I mean, this case has some variables to it that are a bit different, but the way that they handle a case, I guess it's probably a routine to them. So maybe that's
But
why.
what I'm talking about is not about the case specifically. It's just about them talking. So it's even not even discussing the details of the case, just something other than that. Because of course the Apple scene that had nothing to do with the case, and that was something that I thought, okay, that was fast. But
Yeah,
yeah.
my impression was that they had already gone through the case and prepped it quite well. And the other thing is that maybe they didn't want to talk about this case in depth because it's so shocking and it's a minor that is involved. And they, I mean, what are you going to talk about? I mean, you want to have some distance to you want to be able to distance yourself and not maybe to take this issue home. That was my impression, at least.
Also, what I think was a nice touch is showing and kind of foreshadowing in the first episode the relationship between Bascom and his son, and then developing it further in the second episode, because obviously none of the other characters, we don't get to see that. We don't get to see them as parents, but we did get to see Bascom as a parent. And just again, kind of through that, show how little understanding there is between the teenagers and their parents, how little the parents know about the lives of their children, even if they are not bad parents, just like uh from, I don't know, the natural progression of teenagers growing up and sharing less with the parents.
Yeah, Bascom, I think it's his son was living with his mother, or we get a hint that they were separated, Bascom and his
I don't
wife.
think so, because he
No?
talks to his wife in the first episode, and I don't know, it seems like they are together and they're living together in one house and everything. So I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I wanted to briefly talk about when Jamie gets to the precinct. He has to give his information to the officer there in the reception, I guess. I don't know how to call this. And yeah, I mean, I like how the police is portrayed here in this series, or in this first episode mostly, that they're quite professional, and I mean, they try to go through the procedure, but also they are aware that Jamie is a child, and I think this police officer in particular, he's okay. He's encouraging him, not, but what's the word? He's trying to make this situation a bit easier on him, and tries to, okay, let's go through this. We have to go through this. So that we can get to the next step, so that he's not thinking too much about what's happening or what happened, but just trying to have a sense of normalcy, I guess. And yeah, then Jamie is led to, I think, a cell after that first introduction, and after that is where his parents are. Is that correct?
Just about, yeah. I would say generally also to mention the whole episode is very male heavy. And I mean, of course, episodes, yeah, I would say this is probably the one where, of course, the police is involved. There are a lot of men, and this is also something that is kind of playing into that idea of what I was talking about before. He also chooses his dad as his appropriate adult, right? And um, you kind of get a sense that he might not trust women, or I don't know, not trust is maybe not a good word for that, but just not consider them in the same fashion as men. I don't know. I don't know how
Yeah.
to explain that, but yeah, because then also his mother is questioning it, right? In the episode where she says, "Why did he choose you? Why didn't he choose me?" And yeah, he is generally the focus on the dad. I find that fascinating, and I don't think I have an answer for as to why yet, but this is definitely something to keep in mind while watching.
At least we get to know a bit about more about his relationship with his dad rather than his mother. I mean, they mentioned that Eddie took him boxing and to football and different activities because he didn't want him to be a softie. I mean, that's some they say it's in some other manner, but that's basically the idea, I guess. But yeah, it makes sense from that perspective that he chooses his dad because maybe he does have a closer relationship with him.
Well, I don't know if it's about the closeness of the relationship. I think it's because Jamie needs his dad's approval, right? And this is kind of a thread that goes through several episodes. And if we go straight to the scene with the interrogation, or when they're questioning Jamie about the situation, well, the incident of the previous night, then he is there with his dad, and so when they get to the very crucial points of where he was and what happened and the evidence that they have, his dad doesn't give him time. So he's kind of turning to his dad, maybe asking for taking a break or something, because also the lawyer kind of tells them that this is probably a thing to do. And the dad is like, no, let's go, because he will just answer your questions now and you will see he's not guilty of anything and we can go. And this is where it all unfolds, basically, right? He says, answer the question. So he is almost not on his side anymore. So Jamie kind of took him there for protection and for, well, yeah, for some support and approval. And eventually his dad cannot give him that. And then, of course, should I get to the last scene? Because I feel like
Yeah,
we should
just wait
move
just
on.
a second. Yeah, no, I wanted to say I agree that it's probably that Jamie wants his approval. It's a combination of those things. He wants his approval. He has a closer relationship to his dad, and he also maybe views women in a different way. I think it's those three things. Yeah.
And so by the time that we get to the very last scene where we saw the video, where his dad saw the video, and obviously the reaction of the dad to this video, then they leave them alone in this room. And again, this is something that will be mentioned in the third episode, of when Eddie, his dad, took him to those games or to whatever sports he was doing, right? And if Jamie would fail at something or would do something wrong, the reaction from his dad would be disappointment. So he would look away. And the way that he understood it is, he he would look away as if he pretended not to see, or he didn't want him to see, or Jamie to see that he was sorry that he failed. And so this is exactly what's happening here, right? In the first episode, he looks away and he doesn't want to acknowledge it. He doesn't want to look at him. And this is exactly just what happened before, right? This is a reaction that he knows from his dad, and then he sees it again.
So it's tricky because how do you? I mean, it's maybe something that you're not aware of as a parent, that looking away, that the effect that it has. But yeah, the
I
questions
mean,
of
of
how.
course, I guess it's just it the fact is that whatever you do, your child is going to be traumatized. Plus, your child doesn't only exist in one paradigm of your family, right? It's an overlap of different environments that your child exists in. It's the school, it's the family, it's the outer world in general, it's the internet as well, right? So it's all kinds of levels where you are just as a family just one of them, and as much as you have the influence on the child, you are also helpless in some other situations. And I think that it's wrong to say that the family has all the influence on the child, but they definitely they show they are not a dysfunctional family, right? They are a normal family, a very average family. Nobody has a psychology degree in this family where they are like, oh, we have to do this and that so that our child doesn't turn this way. But even if you do have that, your child might still turn out to be, I don't know, somehow impaired in some ways. So basically, there are just too many factors that play into a child growing up. And of course, yeah, we will get to that, I guess, in episode 4. But it's basically speaking, I would say, no matter what they did or what they didn't do, it's just a lot of different things that are at play. So, yeah.
Stephen Graham, he also mentioned this, that when he was writing the show with the other creator, Jack Thorne, having the family be a normal family was intentional so that we as an audience also question, okay, why is this kid the way he is? So if the family would have been dysfunctional, then we would have blamed it on the family from the start. But family is a normal family. There's nothing really out of the ordinary with them. So that's why we start to question it. Maybe before we move on to the second episode, I wanted to mention two things in regards to the one shot and the camera movement. When they get to the precinct after Jamie is checked in, we also follow the police officers a bit around the precinct. So I think that also shows we get to really see this precinct, and it feels alive and buzzing, and it's a normal day at the office for them. So I think that's one of the cool things about the one shot, that we get to explore the space as well, and it's happening in real time. I mean, it's also cool to think about it. Okay, what's happening at that time in the other room, and what are the actors doing? For example, Jamie doing in the cell. So the coordination that we mentioned a bit before. Yeah, I think at least when they drive in the car, I think they had a backup car that was following them, and they were sort of coordinating via radio with the camera crew or the crew in general. I don't know how they did it with the actors, but yeah, that's interesting. The other scene where I think the one shot is awesome is when they are in the room with Jamie, his dad, the lawyer, and they need to do his examination. I mean, to see if he has anything on him, like weapons wise, or any physical harm or something. And that's a great scene or the way that they shot it, because we don't get to see Jamie, how they search him, but we just get to see Eddie's face, and he's sort of shocked, ashamed. So many feelings go through his face, and for us as an audience as well, not see. I mean, we don't have to see him getting searched. What would be the point of that, I guess? But I think it's really interesting that we get to see Eddie's face, and we're just imagining, okay, yeah, well, this is so uncomfortable, like police officers, like looking on the body of a little boy if he maybe has some bruises. Or I think in that scene in particular, it's also open if maybe Eddie was hitting him or abusing him. I think that's sort of hinted at some in that scene. But yeah, it's really an uncomfortable scene, and the way they did it with that, the way they approach it, I think it's genius.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great scene. Also,
Yeah.
before we move on, another thing that I want to mention, I will mention for every episode probably. So the episode 1 was taken, the one that they that was taken in the end as the final episode, or right, or the final version, was the second take, and it was taken on the first day of shooting. So that is a good start.
Yeah, and it's probably logistically one of the most complex one. This one and
Oh,
the
I don't think
second
so.
one.
I think the second one is probably the most complex
Yeah,
one.
yeah, the second one for sure. Yes, yes.
And
Yeah,
as our transition to episode number 2.
yeah,
And we are 45 minutes or how many minutes into the discussion?
yeah. You mentioned that you saw the second or the first 3 episodes twice.
No,
So
I saw number 1 and number 3 because those are my favorite episodes.
okay. Well, then do you remember episode 2, the chronology? I am a bit shaky on it, how it starts, and I don't know why I don't remember it as well.
Well, the detectives go into school to um talk to the kids, talk to the teachers, I guess, and they are being led through the school by somebody who works there. And yeah, they just talk to Jamie's friends, talk to the victim's friends. Yeah, that's about it. And I mean, not about it, but that's how it starts, at least, and the idea of the episode. Well, as
Yeah,
we said, I think logistically speaking, technically speaking, this is probably the episode that took the most effort because it involves a lot of people, of which most are children. So this is just masses of people there. And also, as far as camera work, this episode also has a lot of different solutions that were yeah, also very different to the to what was done in the other episodes. I think it also has one cut in this episode.
where do you think the cut is?
Where the friends, I don't remember the names of the friends. Wait, let me check quickly.
Where he jumps through the window, you mean?
Where he comes through the window, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So where the friend of his runs out of the classroom and runs through the window, and the camera kind of like goes through the glass, and then we keep running after him, right? So I think this was a cut, and then was edited together. So the editor did have some work to do.
Yeah.
As we
I don't
should
know.
question it.
I mean, that's where I would expect a cut to be, but I didn't find anything if there actually was a cut. I think
I
there.
saw it in one resource, but I mean, don't take my word for it. We could still check it out, but
Yeah,
also it does look like a cut. So
yeah. I'm not entirely sure how they did to achieve that effect of going through the window. I would have to look it up. Would be interesting. Yeah, but you pretty much summed it up. I think the first person they talk to, or I think they first go into 2 classes. I think they go into first into the victims class. I think. What's her name again? The girl that, let's see, Lisa or something like that. Lisa Miller. Could that be? No, Lisa is
no,
his mother.
it's the
Sorry,
sister
yeah.
probably.
Well, Katie. I think they go first into her class, and we can see that these people are, oh, not these people, the students are quite rebellious. They talk back at their teacher, and they're very loud, and they actually are more, or they are already aware of what happened to Katie. I mean, news got around, and yeah, we get to see a bit of the difficult scenario, I guess, or how this school might influence Jamie into committing such an act. Yeah, the kids are very rebellious and front, and I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, they're not like say very educated, or they're educated, but I mean they're very rebellious, or they're teenagers, I guess. And then I think the second person they talk to is Katie's friend, who is devastated because she can't really process it and understand, and she finds it unfair, and I think we see how the police talks to her, but then we get a scene where it's just this friend with one of her teachers, or I think psychologist from the school, and that's also a great scene how that back and forth between the two of them. Then we get, I think, to the scene that you mentioned where Bascom, the police officer, talks to his kid. Did you think about that scene?
Well, I guess again, it's just used to show how little the parents know about the world that their teenage kids live in, and it's a lot of it is happening in the internet, and the kids generally, I guess, at this age already don't really share a lot with the parents, so they're kind of left in the dark about what's happening in the lives of their kids. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you can really blame them for it, because I think it kind of goes both ways in a way, because I'm sure this is kind of the type of environment that a parent has to create, where a child feels compelled and comfortable to share, right? And if that's not the case, then they will not. I get, but again, it's a normal situation to be in. I feel like it's not really something that is rare, or um, it's rather rare to create a situation where your child feels comfortable to talk to you, I feel like. And this is something to work on. And of course, not a lot of people manage to do that.
Luke Bascom really is open to what his son is wants to talk to him about, and takes that moment, even if he is working, to talk to him and listens to him. And I think at that one point he also mentioned, I don't understand, please explain this to me, because I think Adam is the son's name. It's just explaining how the interaction on social media works, and it's specifically the language about what certain, I think, is it emojis mean in that context. Yeah, so I think he does a good job of actually being open and acknowledging that he doesn't understand this language and what's happening between the kids. For me personally, it was also quite shocking that I had never felt this before. Oh, okay, I guess I am really out of sync, or with how teenagers talk today, and it was really surprising to see this for the first time from like a more adult perspective, that wow, the teenagers do not share a lot, and they have their own world, and especially now with social media. So I was also surprised to see that disconnect, how it is told in this specific scene between adults and teenagers.
Mhm. Well, and again, going back to the point that this episode might not be action-packed as the first one, but it's a very important episode because it actually shows you a lot of perspectives. It first of all shows you the environment that Jamie was in school. And then it also shows you the divide between the adults and the teenagers, right? It shows you also the interactions between the teenagers. So, of course, I mean, that kind of goes to the first point, but there's also the scene where the where Katie's friend gets into a fight with Jamie's friend, right? And it's a very physical fight, and we don't get to see much of it. Like we don't get to see any kind of well, blood or anything like that, but it's definitely a violent scene.
These kids are violent, I guess is one way to put it. I mean, verbally, or yeah, how they mop each other. We get to understand that they mop each other through the internet, and there is a sort of social status between who's popular and who not. Yeah, actually, that scene about the fight is interesting because in my research, it was interesting to know that some of the crew members who were coordinating the kids are in disguised as teachers or people who work at the school. So that's also from a logistical standpoint interesting to know that the crew members who sort of organize and sort of assistant directors who are there with the kids are actually in the crowd outside and well disguised as teachers or whatever. And I think the other big scene is the one that we well, they actually talked to Jamie's class as well at some point, the police officers. Then after the fight, we also get to the nursery where this Ryan is his name. I think it's one of Jamie's friends. Gets yeah taken care of, and then they want to talk to him, but that's when he actually decides to run and escape from the school, and Jake Bascom goes after him.
I've seen that's actually an interesting chasing scene because they used drones for that, right? I saw like in
Not in the chase scene, I think, or
no,
was it also
I
there?
thought I saw like an making of video where when he's jumping out of the window, they're like throwing a drone after him and then the drone follows him.
Yes, I think I saw that as well. Yeah, at least in that scene. But it's a great chase scene because Jake Bascom is getting sort of out of breath, and the kid is still surprisingly fast. So
Well, in the US, that he would just have taken out his gun and shot him down. Problem solved.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. Go on.
Yeah, and do you remember what they talk about with Ryan and Jake Bascom?
I don't really remember now anymore. Well, there's definitely some information about the the murder weapon, and that maybe the friends were in some way involved in the whole thing, or at least this Ryan boy. But again, it's just I again didn't believe anything. So no. Yeah, but that was definitely something that it kind of gets mentioned at the end of the chase scene, right?
You haven't mentioned that at the end of the first, we get to see the recording of Jamie stabbing Katie, and I after that one I was like on Darius' side. For me, it was okay. It was no doubt that Jamie did it, but the question remained of why did she do it or what exactly happened. There were still a lot of things that we didn't know about. Yeah, and I think the last awesome shot of the second episode is almost at the end, I think, or it's for probably the last shot.
Last, yeah.
Yeah, and for that
It's
they
all one
also
shot. The last scene or something.
the
Yeah.
last scene, yeah, where they attach the. I mean, one of the camera operators had the camera was holding the camera manually, and then they attached the camera to this huge drone, and they sort of go over that parking spot where Katie was murdered, and I mean, I guess her friends and family had left flowers and whatnot. Isn't Eddie who goes there and leaves some flowers that we get to see? Yeah, and I think from a narrative perspective, they wanted to achieve it, or I heard in an interview they wanted to achieve this ethereal feeling that it's yeah, give this ethereal feeling about, okay, this Katie, this young girl who's no longer there, and just, yeah, sort of remember her as well.
It also, if we think a little bit, take a step back, and think about the scenes before that happens, I think it's very um cute, the scene between Bascom and his son again, because then he kind of tells his son, let's go have lunch or something like that, and they just go together. And you saw this boy as kind of a little bit of a closed off boy, and it seems like maybe he doesn't have a great time in school, because also in the first episode he was kind of saying, oh well, I have this thing, I don't want to go to school, I don't feel well. So it doesn't seem like he has a lot of friends in school, and you kind of see him as that, but then you also see him as well, a kid that can smile, that can be excited about something. And this is, I think, cool to show that, okay, those kids, they all have, you may see them as one way, but they are complex personalities, and they're not just bullied kids and that's it. They are complex, and they have other traits, they have other reactions that maybe you don't see, but they exist. And I think that was pretty cool to show. And also then after they leave, we kind of follow a bunch of kids before the camera flies away, right? And so all those kids are there going out of school, and they kind of walk in a group, but they are all on their phones. So maybe that was a little bit of a commentary as well, that although it's all kind of one mass of people, they're all kind of, yeah, closed off from each other almost, and they are not communicating as much, and they just have this other world that they are a part of.
They wanted to show it from multiple perspectives, like from a societal perspective almost. In that sense, I was reminded of a bit about The Wire. I don't know if you've seen The Wire, this American show where it's about, oh, I don't remember which city, but we basically follow different different parts of society throughout. I think it's 4 seasons. We follow the cops, we follow the journalists, the politicians, about, yeah, I think different cases. I don't remember exactly how, but yeah, it's great. Also, like sociological commentary, if you will, or societal commentary. I guess now it's time to talk about the meat of the series, the most interesting episode.
Nutshell, huh? Cliffhanger. Most interesting episode, but not today.
Should we maybe do like a quick talk just to close off this episode that we
Yeah.
just wants to start?
I mean, I think we already said that, kind of foreshadowed it in the beginning, that the first episode talks about the family environment. Of course, we are straight away put in a very stressful situation with this family, but that also makes us see the reactions that they have within a stressful situation. So this is one part of Jamie's life, so a window in his family life, into his family life. And then the second episode is the window into the school life and the relationship with the peers, and an introduction into the internet world that the kids live in, right? And the way that they communicate there. And yeah, also almost maybe kind of all 3 episodes, the first 3 episodes, I think, talk about it, of how there is maybe almost 2 different levels that kids talk on, right? So it's the live communication, and then it's the internet communication, and how they are maybe different, or how they um overlap, or yeah, I think, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, because of course, while they are talking to all the same people, is the communication the same? Would they be able to say all that to each other's faces if there was no way to communicate on the internet? Because of course, the communication in the internet, as we saw in the second episode, is very coded, and there's almost no glimpse that the parents can have into it, even if they wanted to. They don't understand it.
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about the social media aspect of it, but on the one hand, I think it makes sense that they didn't show, I mean, like a screen or however it looks like. I think we see Jamie's profile for a bit, or they talk about Jamie's Instagram profile, and yeah, but we don't get to see that as much. So I think that that's also, I mean, a great decision because it's looming over the school and how their interactions, and it's really important, crucial, but we don't really get to hear too much about it or see too much about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, of course, the aspect with the child and parent relationship, right? Not only Jamie and his parents, but also Bascom and his son, and the divide that is between them. And of course, the school also shows the divide between the kids and the teachers. So this whole plane of teenage parent, teenage adult communication, that is also an important aspect there.
Yes, and talking about divide, it's time to cut this episode here. We don't want to talk for 2 hours about adolescence, so we're going to split this into two. So join us next time when we discuss the third and fourth episodes, and see you then.
Bye bye.
Adios.